Hello, my name is Jim Hummer from Solver, and today we're going to be looking at Dynamics GP, and we're looking at general ledger summary balances and how they relate to BI360. So here is Microsoft Dynamics GP. This is version 2016, and we're going to look at our summary inquiry. And let's put in a balance sheet account. And here it puts in our balances per fiscal period. So we have beginning balances with credits and debits. And then we have our net change for each of these fiscal periods. And then we have our balance. So these are basically the roll-up per period and what the ending balance is. You notice that on beginning balance there's no numbers. And if we go back to 2014, you notice there are. The reason is that once you close your fiscal year, the previous year, in this case 2013, those numbers roll forward for balance sheet accounts into the beginning balance. So let's also go look at our fiscal periods a little bit. So here's your fiscal periods here, 2014, and you see that they basically are fairly standard setup. And you can define these per date you want, and it tells you if it's a historical year or not. So if we go down to 2013, it tells you it's a historical year. That means it's been closed. So let's close that. We're going to go to Excel, and this is BI360. So this basically operates off a metadata concept. So here's the actual summary. So the summary includes both the open and historical years, so it rolls that all together. So you notice when we did the inquiry we had to change years, and here we do not. So here we have our account string, which we showed before, and then we have a series of measures which we're going to explain, including the beginning balance, and then we have like credit amount, credit change. So the change is basically what happens as monthly activity throughout the posting through the fiscal period, and the amount includes the beginning balance. So let's kind of show that here. So we're going to go and take our account string, put that into our report. We're going to scroll down and add our account description. And we're going to click onto our row, and I'm going to actually delete this. There's a number of ways that you can go and do filters, so I'm going to just do this a little bit different here. And I'm going to go to account and do a lookup and do my cache. So I'm going to start with my beginning balance, and I'm also going to do my period change and put that on the same line. So this works symmetrically, so it filters off the row. So now I'm going to take my fiscal period and filter that off the column. And the way I'm going to do that, what's called functions. There's different ways that you can do this with different experience. This is sort of the standard way, methodology, how to do this. So I'm going to put this period this year. I'm going to put this on column E. And then I'm going to go here and then stretch this so that basically this goes and filters both my beginning balance and also my period change. So I'm going to run this really simple. And I can go through my lookup, and there's basically the same fiscal periods that I saw in my fiscal period lookup. I'm going to run this. And so I see my 338, 562 and my 241, 557. If I go back to GP, you can see that those are indeed the same numbers. So that's my beginning balance there, and this is my net change. And if I bring in my credit debits, those numbers will be the same too, of course. So notice if I go and run for just February, it just brings in 117.65. So that's what this number is right here. So basically, as I choose this, it's only going to bring in my data for the current fiscal period. So how can I expand on that? So I'm going back to design, and I'm going to go here, back to my finance, and I'm going to change this from change to balance. So if I go here under my balance, you notice this number is different now. So this basically is my change plus my beginning balance. And if I go back to GP here, you can see how that number is reflected in the changes. Okay, and that's period 1. If I do period 2, it still goes back to my 117.65. So the balance is also only for the first period. It's not follow on for the other fiscal periods in conjunction with it. So how do I get my ending balance? So what you need to do is, if you go into your columns, you can see the functions, and it says this period this year. So what you have to do is go to your functions, and we're going to put a year-to-date in there. So now if I go to year-to-date, this is going to aggregate from the beginning of the year to the period I chose. So now I have 580 and then 637.31. So let's go here and see if that is correct. And there it is right there. So that's basically how I get my numbers, and as I change that, that's going to give me my ending balance. So the last part is, like, how can I have a running ending balance? Well, it's a little more tricky, but it can certainly be done. I'm going to delete my beginning balance just so it shows a little bit better. Okay. And just for visual effects, I'm going to take my posting period and put it on my column. I'm then going to click and have this as expanding. So let's expand this, and we're going to do this for 4 periods, and this is going to expand out. And see, I didn't have any data there, so let's go see what we got here in GP. We got period 5 has data, so let's go out to period 5, and you see that this basically gives me my beginning balance here. That includes my billing in period 1, and then basically that goes and then puts in my monthly activity for those fiscal periods. So if I add all that up, that's going to give me my ending balance. And so if I go here, if I right click and create sum and then run this, this is going to give me my balance for that range that I chose. This is my ending balance. So now if I want a running balance, what I can do is I can get rid of my balance for my columns, and then I can go into my rows, and then I can go into my functions, and I can go into and grab a year-to-date. So I'm putting a year-to-date on my column as well as my rows. And what this will do, this will aggregate this, so this will look exactly what I see in GP. So you look at my first balance, period 1, my second balance, period 2, and then if we go into period 5, I have my 608, 637, 31. So So that's how we get balances in the general ledger summary. If you have further questions, you can certainly contact Solver and go into the support section and put in a support request. Thank you.